Trainers, gym shoes, runners, tennis shoes. Here in the States, we call them sneakers usually. But no matter what you call them wherever you live, one thing's for sure, they're everywhere. From the streets to the courts, from runways to everyday wear, sneakers have come a long way since their humble beginnings. But have you ever stopped to wonder how did they get here? How did sneakers evolve from simple rubber sole shoes to a fashion statement and performance tool that practically none of us can live without? Well, let's find out. I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and this is the evolution of sneakers, how footwear transformed into pop culture. As always, don't forget to hit all of the buttons that help us grow as a channel, and don't forget to check out our sponsor, us. We offer hundreds of art pieces and tons of apparel that any fan of the channel is sure to love. But with all that being said and out of the way, let's get to it. The first company to be credited with the first creation of what could reasonably be called sneakers was the Liverpool Rubber Company from England in the 1830s. Their creation, called the sand shoe, had a canvas upper and revolutionary rubber sole, the first of its kind. Originally worn on beaches only, they called them plimsolls. By the 1860s, croquet players began wearing rubber sole shoes as well. At the time, sports were mainly recreational, meaning just for fun, and nobody got paid. But guys still wanted footwear that was more appropriate for athletic competition. The colloquial term sneakers began being used in the US back in the 1880s. Reason being, the rubber soles were much quieter on wooden floors than the traditional hard bottoms that most people wore in those days. A few years later, the US Rubber Company brought the plimsoll design stateside. They began selling the modified version with a slightly thicker sole and laces. In 1908, Marquise Converse founded the Converse Rubber Shoe Company in Boston and began selling shoes the following year. Now, although Converse technically wasn't the first US company to sell sneakers, they were the first to take things to the next level. In 1916, the US Rubber Company saw the success that Converse had and wanted a little piece of the action. So they launched Keds and advertised them as the ideal shoe for athletes. So in response to this, Converse released the All-Star, designed specifically for basketball, and changed everything. Introduced in 1917, the Converse All-Star was the first ever sneaker built specifically for basketball players. But it wasn't until 1936, when basketball legend Chuck Taylor endorsed the shoe, that it became a true icon, and to this day, being the highest selling sneaker of all time. Around the same time, on the other side of the world, a controversial set of brothers by the name of Dassler were emerging with their pioneering designs geared towards runners and soccer players. In 1949, Adidas introduced the first ever track spike, giving runners the edge they needed to compete on the world stage. The 1960s and 70s marked a major turning point for sneakers. As the fitness craze took hold and athletes like Muhammad Ali and Olympic champions dominated their respective sports, sneakers began to transcend the world of athletics and enter the pop culture. In 1964, Nike was born, originally called Blue Ribbon Sports. Nike eventually changed their name to Nike and adopted their patented swoosh logo and released the Cortez in 1972, becoming a symbol of comfort and innovation for runners. The Cortez featured a cushioned sole design for better shock absorption and comfort, making it an instant favorite for long-distance runners. And not to be outdone, Adidas' iconic Superstar sneaker was released in 1969, quickly becoming a popular choice for basketball players. In 1970, Walt Clyde Frazier became the first NBA player in history to ever sign a signature sneaker deal, the Puma Suede Clyde. In 1976, Vans debuted the number 95, later called the Era, a canvas shoe with a grippy sole that became extremely popular with skateboarders. In 1978, Nike introduced their Air technology, an inflated cushion unit inside the sole of each sneaker, developed by aerospace engineer Frank Ruby. The Air Force One, released in 1982, was the first basketball sneaker to feature this new tech. In the 1980s, sneakers officially moved from the track and the court to the streets. This was the decade where sneakers became synonymous with fashion and identity, and suddenly, it was all about standing out and making a statement. In 1982, Vans introduced the now classic checkerboard slip-on, and New Balance dropped the 990. But the biggest revolutionary moment for sneakers came in 1984 when Nike signed a young kid out of North Carolina by the name of Michael Jordan. In 1985, they released the Air Jordan 1, changing the game. The Air Jordan 1 wasn't just a sneaker, it was a cultural movement. Its bold designs and colorways defied the NBA's uniform rules and sparked a revolution in the world of sports fashion. Later that year, Run DMC dropped their hit song, My Adidas. You see, they had long been repping hard for the brand, and by 1985, they became the first non-athletes to sign an endorsement deal with a sneaker company. The mid to late 80s and 90s for sneakers are kind of like the 60s for American cars. No matter how much time passes, the designs still look nice, classic, and timeless. Many of the sneakers from that era are still being released as retros to this day and are among the most popular sellers. Nike's Air Max line introduced a visible air cushion, turning sneakers into an art form. Meanwhile, basketball stars like Shaq, Kobe Bryant, and Penny Hardaway had their own signature lines, making kids everywhere want to be like Mike or rock their favorite players' kicks. And add to that, even NFL players were getting in on the game. We did a video a few weeks back explaining how for decades, NFL guys played in basketball sneakers at first, that eventually evolved into turf shoes, bringing in even more fans. The 2000s continued on the same trajectory, and by then, sneakers were an everyday part of fashion for almost everybody. But then came the 2010s, the era of sneaker hype. Sneakers became investments, limited edition releases, collaborations with celebrities and designers, and the rise of online resale platforms turned sneakers into a multi-billion-dollar market. Whether it was Yeezys or Off-White Nikes or Travis Scott Jordans, sneakerheads were camping out for days or battling bots online just to secure a pair. These days, sneakers have come a long way. 3D printed designs, fly knit and boost technology, auto lacing. Sneakers today are more comfortable than ever, but that added comfort comes at a price. Sneakers are also at an all-time high today, and the resale industry got so outrageous that the bubble is finally starting to burst. But through all that, the sneaker industry as a whole continues to chug along. Fast forward through time, and the involvement of sneakers in sports kept growing. With each leap and dunk, sneakers were there, evolving. By the mid-20th century, they were synonymous with burgeoning sports stars, who not only pushed the limits of what athletes could do and achieve, but also influenced the sneakers that were on everyone's feet. When you look at all these historical snapshots, it's clear that the rise of sneaker culture in sports was not just about the shoes, but it was about the story they were telling and the heroes associated with them. The melding of functionality, personal achievement, and style helped sneakers stride confidently from the tracks and the courts and into mainstream culture. Today, practically everyone has at least one pair of sneakers in their closet. And for that reason, I don't think sneakers are going anywhere anytime soon. If anything, they'll just continue to evolve. But into what? I personally can't wait to see. But what do you think sneakers are going in the future? And how long have you personally been a sneakerhead? Hit us up in the comment section and let us know. And if you made it all the way through to the end of the video and you enjoy videos like this, then don't forget to hit the like button. Liking and sharing these videos is the only way to get the YouTube algorithms to notice us and help us continue to grow. And if you want to be updated whenever we drop a new episode, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button and then the notification bell. That way you can be reminded when each new video releases, which we are now doing 2 per week. One on Wednesday and again another one on Sunday. But with all that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out. Until next time. Peace.